morning. My name is Heather Nodello, and I'm from Truthful Healings. We are going to be discussing today and over the next few months spirituality and everything that has to do with it. I want to start by talking a little bit what spirituality means. In today's day and age, we are talking about learning to love ourselves from a higher level. We're talking about using self-empowerment over worrying about everybody else in society. The biggest thing about spirituality is it's a way of life. It's not a trend. It's a way that you choose to live your life in accordance with universal laws, spiritual direction, anything that has to do with the soul. One thing I'd like to talk about is what it means to us personally. Spirituality allows us an avenue to find out what we're really here for. What is the purpose of life? Why are we the way that we are? What are our habits and our trends? Everything that has to do with us as a self and putting it in context at a higher level. Spirituality belongs in the basic principle of choosing faith over fear. So it doesn't always necessarily mean it has to do with religion, but it does believe in the effect of having a higher power. That higher power is God, and in that belief system, it is based on that we are also very important. When we're looking at spirituality and we're looking at the idea of faith, we're looking at faith over fear. Right now in our world, fear seems to be the running energy system. We'll talk about energy a little bit later on. And fear seems to be keeping everybody stuck at one level. When we're dealing with faith, we mean both faith in a higher level, God, and in ourselves. We are part of a system that's co-created. So when we come down to the earth, we have an idea of what we're here to do. The goal of our life is to kind of unravel the different types of lessons and gifts to do it to the best of our abilities. Everybody on the planet has a life purpose. There's different levels and there's different avenues to work from. But in general, there is a reason that you're here. When you choose faith over fear, you're choosing what you cannot see, perhaps over what's concrete, but you're choosing what your soul knows is true. We access that through intuition. Intuition is the understanding and the knowledge of who we are in greater concepts, who we are in joining with the entire world. Intuition is what allows us to know what is right for ourselves, what is just for ourselves, and what again is true to our soul. Self-empowerment is not about being better than anybody else. It's about knowing who you are and being comfortable in who you are. It's not about judging other people, and it's not about comparison. It's about being able to get up in the morning, look in that mirror, and say with true conviction that I love myself. Over the last 50 years, we've moved very much away from this. So a lot of our society, particularly North America, is more concerned about what everybody else thinks about them, how they're viewed, what they're going to do. The issue with that is that it skews your own self-view. So when you set out in life to make certain goals or to overcome obstacles, you're always kind of judging it against everybody else. It makes it very difficult to see your own path. One of the first steps in spirituality is to release the expectations of others, including yourself, the ones that aren't real, and to delve into yourself to figure out, what do I believe? What makes sense to me? Why do I believe I'm on this planet? And how can I better access that? Self-empowerment is what leads to true contentment. Most people are on the path to finding happiness, which is wonderful, but we're going to start off by understanding that happiness itself is an emotion and it's changeable. So the goal of spirituality and to live a spiritual life is contentment. Again, to wake up in the morning and know who you are and love who you are, and to go to bed with those same beliefs and systems in play. Self-empowerment is about knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are. If you're uncomfortable in those weaknesses, finding different ways to make them positives within your life. When we know our strengths, we don't have to compete with other people. When we know our strengths, we spend a lot of energy and time building them. When you're dealing with spirituality, those strengths are given for other people as well. So self-empowerment is not about ego, it's about true confidence, authenticity, and returning to the person that you came to be. When we're dealing with faith versus fear, it is the faith in that there's a larger pattern at play here. It's faith that you are here for a set reason and that you're perfect in who you are. When we come in with different traits, personality, physical attributes, those have all been pre-designed to make our paths that much easier. As we start within childhood, different kind of blocks come up, obstacles. I just about to come out with a book that talks about a lot of parents not having spiritual consciousness in order to give that to children. So it's not a blame or a fault system. It's part of the life progression. As you go through life, you begin to undo some of the limits that other people set on you. You find that that faith in yourself resonates stronger than anything else. When you have true contentment of your soul, when you really know who you are and you're happy in that and you feel good about that, joy is the next level. So joy comes into a life very naturally and easily when you remove any blocks that are in the way. Right now on our planet, we're experiencing a lot of energetic shifts. So if you follow spirituality at all, you'll hear a lot about that. Astrology covers it, spiritually based covers it, science is looking at it now. These shifts are about the beginning of a spiritual revolution and a consciousness upgrade. Right now, our planet and our societies are working very hard to destroy everything. It's no longer working. Our systems don't work. Our education system doesn't work. Our medical systems don't work. Wars are rampant. The mistreatment of children, the mistreatment of women, all of that needs to start ceasing to exist. And to do that, the entire world will upgrade their consciousness level. It is meant to be a positive thing, and it can be very exciting for those on the path to releasing a lot of limits. But we need to understand at the highest level that it is a global consciousness that's upgrading. As that happens, there's going to be lots of resistance, lots of fighting, lots of fears in that. So the best gift of spirituality is learning to work within those frameworks, understanding that the shifts are always present, they always have been present, and working hard to not get lost in them. I know that in North America, depression, weight gain, obesity, low self-esteem, a lot of prescription drugs, recreational drugs are a common issue within most society or within our society. It doesn't based on class system. It's not based on economics. It's based on an overall belief that we are not good enough. That is why we need to have some changes. So when you start off on a path of spirituality, it's very much about the self. Again, when we started this conversation, I said it's one thing we lost. There's nothing intimidating about loving yourself, and there's nothing negative about loving yourself. When you truly love yourself and you truly accept who you are as an individual, that contentment allows you to share it with other people. It becomes inspiring to other people. It helps other people know, you know what, it's okay that I am who I am. Throughout history, we've seen lots of different consciousness shifts, even going back to the Dark Ages, followed by the Enlightenment. This is similar to that, but on a higher scale. As I said, our world is no longer working. So in order to upgrade everything, the entire global consciousness has to raise. This deals with more spiritual frequencies, which we'll talk about on another call. Right now, I want to focus on the fact that within self-empowerment, you will find that freedom to be able to move within the shifts, to be able to not get trapped down by neighbors, friends, and families that may be struggling as much. There's something called light workers, and light workers are people that come on the planet with the sole purpose of raising consciousness and working with other people. Healing modalities, teaching, hands-on service jobs, anything like that that has to do with helping other people, helping to raise the light consciousness. Those light workers are working overtime right now to get into position, which means finding who they are, what their strengths are, and how they're supposed to serve. Light workers are particularly important right now because of the global shift, and this is the beginning of it. So as each light worker starts to come into themselves, a lot of self-discovery is happening right now. That, of course, is going to lead to chaos, relationship breakdowns, new dynamics, letting go limited beliefs, constant struggles within family dynamics, trying to get free to be the truth of who you are. I am finding that as a counselor, some people are having an easier time with it. The struggle seems to be with the people that aren't ready to shift. If you're in that position and you're trying to wake up, as it's called, and you're dealing with a lot of resistance, I want you to know right now that it's okay. You don't need to set a path to preach to everybody, and your job is not to enlighten everyone you come across. Again, that first step is just to know who you are, getting comfortable in what your belief systems is, how you feel. So as we start to strengthen our core, and as we start to strengthen the person that we are, we find again that that contentment leads to a higher level of happiness, which leads to more love, which then starts a flow of different types of energy. In the beginning, one of the basic things we want to talk about again is chakras. Chakras are always going to be important. You'll hear them throughout any type of lesson through spirituality because it's the energetic system of the body. I, on my website, have webinars based just on that, the spiritual understanding. The basis of the chakra system is the energy system that runs through your body. So the very first step before you do anything else is learning your own body, learning how you respond, what stimulates you, what turns you off, what repels you. That's the starting point. So often I see when training people is they're always going to outside. How do I change the outside of my life? How do I change my job? What am I going to do with this relationship? The answer is nothing. Start within yourself. The amazing thing about spirituality is when you get that internal self-empowerment, everything flows. There's a lot of gurus on our planet that preach the let go. It will just happen. Just breathe. And having been in this for the last 17 years, it is the truth. We want it to be difficult because we're used to life being difficult. We want it to be hard on us because we're used to things being difficult and hard on us. But it doesn't need to be. Spirituality is returning to who you are, not changing who you are. So the more that you start to bring in your own truths, things really do just open up. When we're able to listen to our heart and understand what our heart needs in love, when we can sit down, clear our minds, and hear that message of the heart, what type of partner we need, the gifts that we need in them, certain types of attributes, then we have an easier time finding the proper mate, and then we also have an easier time building that relationship of strength. When we're dealing within that framework of kind of understanding the relationships, we want to listen to our minds as well. We want to know what type of person that we need. We want to know what type of job that we would be best at. Our hearts and minds were originally designed to work together. Right now in society, they're very much separated. So we get a lot of mental chaos. People will call it the monkey mind, the mind running all over. Your mind is not your enemy. It is a tool that is trying to assist you. So it's important to look back through your life to see what kind of lessons that mind has learned. In psychology, we have two sides of our mind, and in spirituality, we do as well. We have the symbolic and we have the logical. The logical side of our mind is the one that's pretty much worshipped on our planet. It's all about what it can process, how it can understand the information, how quickly it can recoup its needs. The symbolic part of our mind, which is actually the spiritually based one, is set up to intake information from higher planes, intake the information that best suits our souls. So right now, we're working very hard to get those mind and hearts to work together. As you clear your chakras, you usually start from the bottom and you work your way up. The heart chakra and the third eye chakra is a big focus right now on our planet. We're trying, again, to get those two parts of ourselves to talk. We do it through the soul. The soul is the most resonating part of the human system, and it stays consistent within each human being. As you go through different lives, you might change your appearance, your gender, likes, dislikes, but the soul is pretty much rooted into who you are. As I said, when you started in this life, you get a lot of obstacles, parental, secondary level would be friends, teaching, things like that. The tri-level would be the government's system, society that you're in. As we kind of go into those as children, we get certain blocks and limitations. And again, the goal of spirituality is to undo those. It's to recognize where those blocks are in our life and to release them to access a higher level. Those that do a spiritual activation process, which is going through each individual level of the self, finding the balance, releasing anything we no longer want, deciding what we do want, you end up feeling very content in who you are. You end up at least coming out of that pot that no matter what happens, I'm okay. And from that point, you can start to change the external world. Some books I want to mention for beginners are The Celestine Prophecy. It's probably one of the most popular books based in spirituality. It's in a story form, and it talks about the beginning of energy work, understanding energy from a very basic level. I read it as my first book, I think, when I was 17, and I still read it. There's a few different, there's ones that follow up. It goes up to the 12th Insight. But this is an excellent book for beginners. Another book that is really good is The Peaceful Warrior. This one's by Dan Millman. It is excellent for males as well because it takes spirituality to a more grounded level, a physical level. It's a book that allows people to begin to understand the concepts of it, but still, again, through story form. For people that are more interested in the heart level, the other book I want to recommend is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This one's a little bit more advanced and it digs deep into what the soul means and how to release. But for all those trying to overcome heartache or heart problems or trying to connect with that, The Untethered Soul brings you into the seat of your soul. It brings you down to the truth of who you are and really gently forces you to look at your life and how you're living it. If you're going to start a new path of spirituality, you want to begin again within that self, and you want to begin within your belief system. I always recommend doing it through the chakras. You can do it different ways, but the chakras gives you that solid grounding in a very clear way, of a logical way for the brain, both sides, to process it. The first chakra deals with root and family. As we started to move out through that, we look at our tribal beliefs. We look at how family and the beliefs of family might overrun your soul. The sacral deals with interdependent relationships, dependency issues, dealing with other people at the secondary level. The solar plexus in your belly deals with personal power. It deals with having the strength to say, this is who I am and this is what I need. Right now on our planet, the next evolutionary jump is to the heart chakra. The heart chakra is based on all love and all levels. It's based on forgiveness and love. So as we see on our planet right now, it's not really resonating at that level. There is, again, a lot of war, a lot of strife, a lot of chaos, actually, more than anything else. So as our entire collective starts to move into that heart chakra, we're experiencing a lot of tightness. We're experiencing just a lot of resistance. That's the importance of the heart chakra. This new frequency is going to bring love and compassion in. Will we still have issues? Of course, because on the human experience, you have people at different levels, but the overriding energy of our planet will be one of love, respect, freedom, allowing people to feel how they want to feel, allowing people to do what they want to do, without the intention of hurting others, allowing people to be whatever they want to be without having other people tell them, well, maybe you can, or, I don't think you should. Taking all of that out, the heart chakra represents one of support and community. So we're just coming out right now of that individual stage of personal power, where it kind of went individual, at least in North America, where everybody started to put themselves above everybody else. Again, everything in spirituality is a process, so it was necessary. But now that we have interpower, now that a lot of people, know that they're important, we want to bring it to that larger scale. We want to bring it to that love that we know we're important, but we also know that everybody else is important too. We know that we have beliefs and we respect our own beliefs, but we also want to respect the beliefs of others. We want to get to a point where we can just work with each other without having to drain, having to take from each other, having to control each other. So as you move into the energetic world, you're going to find that the heart chakra is incredibly important right now. If you're going to start actually with spirituality, the heart one is where I guide a lot of people right away. Getting in touch with that heart, working within that heart, understanding what that heart needs. One misconception I'm seeing a lot is people believing that their hearts are very broken. A lot of times within your body, you might sustain heart issues, you might go through a breakup, lose somebody. The heart does have a lot of pain, but it has been built to heal. The heart can break and break and break again, and it can heal and heal and heal again. Where we're getting stuck is the mind. The mind has a harder time to understand when things have healed. The mind, if they're disconnected, still believes that it's in pain. It can run like that for a whole lifetime. So again, we want to kind of go into our bodies and into ourselves to really start to assess how we think and feel. How does our heart feel? Is it really broken, or is it ready to soar? Anybody that's stumbled onto the spiritual path, you can pretty much assume or go ahead with the idea that your heart is ready. Your heart's ready to expand, or it wouldn't have called to your attention. When you get to that point, we want to start to learn to breathe. We breathe because it calms down our energetic system. It allows the chaos, the anxiety, the jumping nerves to just take a break and relax. Again, the human body is designed to be connected. So it's not that you're going to have to do a lot on the path of spirituality. It's actually going to be a reduction of the chaos around it. A lot of spiritual practices deal with the self. They deal with meditation. They deal with listening to the soul, hearing that heart, working within the mind. It can be a struggle in the sense that you have to overcome everything you might have believed before, but it's not work. The more that you work on your soul, the more that you listen to it, the easier the process gets. The more that you open up to your heart, the more that you open that heart, the easier it is to release any pains around it. So again, in society right now, we're based on kind of a protection method. We build walls. We say, okay, this is about me, and I'm not going to let anybody in, and I'm never going to be hurt again. Well, it goes against the human system. The human system is built to be hurt. It's built to sustain quite a lot of pain, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. We break bones, they reheal stronger. We deal with certain issues within livers. If you have, a poor liver, if you clean it up, it will regenerate. Smokers that smoke, when they quit smoking, their lungs regenerate. So our physical body is developed to replenish and heal itself. It's the same way with emotions. We have emotions to feel them and let them go. We have emotions so that we can understand and integrate different lessons or gifts, but they're not meant to be held. They were never meant to be held. And emotions are fluid energy. So you might feel sad, you might understand what the sadness is about, you might take a positive, and then when you let go, the sadness lets go. So again, they're not always in our heart as much they are in our mind. Our minds might lock into it. Our mind might say, okay, well, we're used to feeling sad, so we should feel sad for the rest of our lives. So the challenge comes within opening that mind and opening that heart. What I will say is after the first few kind of attempts, your body will let go. The easiest way to access anything within the soul is through the breath. When I first started, I was not a fan of hearing that. I was not a fan of hearing, oh, let go, just breathe. It took me quite a few years to understand the concept properly. But as we breathe, we start to bring in oxygen. And as that oxygen comes in, the entire system physically starts to relax. As our physical system relaxes, our energetic system at the spiritual level begins to activate. So when we quiet the body and we start to settle down that mind as best we can, the soul instantly takes in. Your soul is always talking to you. It's the intuition you ignore most of the time. It's that voice that tells you to do something that you don't do and it doesn't work out. It's that voice that says, in positive manners, you can do this. We're meant to do this. We should go here. This is where we're kind of being drawn to. Our challenge as humans is to listen to it over the rest of the noise. The voice of the soul is very quiet. It will come in through psychic levels. It'll come in either you will have hearing, you will hear voices, you will see images, you will have a sense of knowing, your body will react to sensations. It's a subtler energy. So again, the training becomes listening. The training becomes quieting everything else so that you can hear it. It's always present. So whenever I work with people trying to connect to it, a lot of frustration becomes because they can't hear it. The truth is it's always there. Some people have higher gifts or have easier access to it, but every human has been designed to hear their own soul. It's whether they're willing to let go things to get to that. As you've built your life, you've made contracts and programs with either ideas or people. It's very difficult for most humans to let those go. It's very difficult to start a career path, invest a lot of money, get 5 years in, and then say, no, I don't want to walk away. But if that's what your soul wants, you will find more ease in doing that than forcing yourself to go to work. I had a question the other day about forcing energy and what that means. And pretty much what it means is that you're trying to work the outside world rather than your internal world. When we're forcing energy, we are forcing people or ourselves to do something. We have some expectations. We have an issue of failure, guilt, shame. Those lower emotions that we'll talk about in another call, they trap us up. Forcing means having to work, having to push. In spirituality, as you start to find your personal ground, that doesn't happen anymore. As you start to find who you are and you tap into that soul, your soul guides you. That's when synchronicity comes in, which is why I like Celestine Prophecy. It talks a lot about the way that things work together. Coincidence is a random act that comes together. Synchronicity is an energetic purpose. It's as you start to open up to the higher levels of your own self and you can admit, this is what I actually want to be doing. All of a sudden, new avenues open, opportunities come, wealth, abundance, health. It all comes as a return for knowing that soul. The farther we get from our soul beliefs, the farther we get from ourselves, the more illnesses we take in, the more struggles we take in. Again, mental illness is off the charts right now. And I would say at least half of it has nothing to do with the mind. Mental illness is being now defined pretty much for everything. Really what it's about is that disconnect. When you have, again, no knowledge of who you are and comfort in it, you can work within it. So even if you have mental issues, and even if you do have some struggles or there's some, chemical issues going on, that seed of the soul, that true knowing of who you are allows you to deal with it better. Every challenge we have in this lifetime is an opportunity, is what they'll call it. It's an opportunity to grow in yourself. Every challenge, every heartache, every crisis, it allows you that opportunity to experience it and then decide how you want to respond to it. Right now we're in a reactionary world. We react rather than responding. Reaction means that we have no consciousness in it. Something happens and we just react. In most cases, not positively. In most cases, we end up hurting ourselves. Responding allows us that time or that moment to truly review what we're going to do. It gives us that couple seconds to couple minutes to go, okay, this is how I want to react, but I can understand that this is really what's happening. I can understand that maybe that person that just offended me wasn't aware of it. And I can take that higher road of compassion through the love to extend that kind of peace. When people wrong us, we're able to, at a higher level, have forgiveness, no matter how bad it is. Because again, every experience that we have on this life, we've somehow co-created. It isn't what happens to us, it's how we respond. It's how we grow from the situation. It's how we let it flow. The heart level is about forgiveness, and that is again why we're seeing so much chaos in the world, because it's very difficult for humans to forgive wrongs. We know that, which is why we know it's an evolutionary upgrade, but it needs to happen. So when we hold any type of pain, resentment, and judgment to others, we're only hurting ourselves. Only through forgiveness can you begin to truly access the power of yourself. When you're able to forgive every wrong, everything that's ever happened to you, let go all of that resentment and anger and bitterness towards anybody that's persecuted you, your entire soul lets go. You upgrade, you feel that weight come off your shoulders. Even as people are doing wrong to you, the power becomes for those that can let go. The power is the one that can do the forgiveness. Energy dynamics are set up that two people or more have some involvement with each other, some expectation. So when we hold anger, when we hold resentment, we hold bitterness, we actually keep that relationship alive. If you're in any type of a relationship dynamic that's negative, that's draining you, that they're persecuting you, that they're doing something wrong against you, your lack of forgiveness keeps it going stronger. When you're able to forgive another human being, you're able to cut that dynamical cord. You're able to cut the energy so that they can go over there and you can continue to live your life. As humans, we have absolutely no control over other people. It's a big misconception, including our children. We are on this planet to guide and to help each other, not to dominate and not to make people do things. So when we start to open up that truth, we let go of the control mechanisms and we allow flow. Flow will bring you to the people you're supposed to be with. Flow will bring you in relationships that are positive and inspiring. As you go through the lower energy, again, of emotions and the bitterness, resentment, those holds, through forgiveness, they let go, they release, and that allows newness to come into your life. So often I see people trapped in relationships, both romantic and family-based, because it's all they know and because they're scared to be alone. So when you're dealing with that philosophy, I would rather be miserable than alone, I want you to push it a little bit. I want you to be alone first and see if that's true. Another misconception is that the souls are lonely. When you're balanced and content, you can be with yourself quite a lot. Most people on the path, when they hit that level, particularly after the heart, like to be alone. You decide and you realize that, you know what, you're very balanced when you're by yourself. It's when you're with other people that things start to fall apart. When you're with other people, triggers will come out. So pushing past that fear of being alone is really important, because when we're afraid to be alone, we stay in really negative relationships. The irony is, as soon as you're okay to be alone is generally when you end up meeting new people. It's when they bring you your true loves. It's when they bring you friends that represent you, colleagues, clients, things like that. So if we're going to hold on to negative things, then we can quite honestly expect negative emotions and negative responses to go with it. When we have the courage, again, through the heart, through forgiveness, and through inspiration and faith, then all of a sudden the world's not so dark. All of a sudden we can bear a little bit of loneliness as we let go. Everyone that I've ever directed to do personal meditations, I like to do process meditations, everyone comes out feeling better. Again, the soul has been designed to be a self-loving unit, a unit that completely can take care of itself, it can regenerate itself, it can love itself. When we have that balance within our soul, our natural resonating energy will be to inspire other people. When we have that contentment within ourselves and we don't have relationship holes, we can value and respect people for who they are. Even if we don't like them, even if they're not a great person, it doesn't matter. We, through forgiveness, lose that need to judge. We can understand that, make that choice. Well, I don't want to be around you, but I'm not going to judge you and I'm not going to condemn you for it. I'm just going to simply move myself from the situation. As you're beginning, a lot of things that have to deal with force are trying, and I have to, and why can't I? It's a very negative energy. So again, I want to kind of put forth on our first talk here that spirituality is meant to be joyful contentment-based, exciting. Take the heaviness out of it to make it fun. The most exciting thing is discovering truths about yourself, why you are the way you are, why you have certain gifts, maybe even the reason you look a certain way. This is a very strategic plan in the universe. So when I'm telling you, everything about yourself is needed. If you're going to go on a path to change everything, you're going to get more depressed. You're going to pull away from that self-powerment, and you're going to try to be something that you think other people want you to be. It's one of the leading causes of depression right now. If we can't be who we're meant to be, the soul can't settle. If the soul can't settle, then nothing will integrate, and therefore you won't have the flow and synchronicity. So again, try to attempt when you're doing this to find that joy and love in it. Find the excitement in it. Find the passion in it. One person, I can say for myself is that every time I get a new challenge, I get excited and people laugh till they see it. But any type of challenge, any type of crisis, I know that I will get through it. And when I get out of it, I'm going to have a whole new set of gifts, a whole new set of abilities, a new understanding for other people, a higher level of perception, more compassion. So I do get excited about it. Do I love it in the moment? No, of course not. But I have enough consciousness to go, okay, here's a massive challenge. And as soon as it hits, start to plan out both through emotions and logic, how I want to deal with it. What do I want to get from it? What is the overriding lesson? And then how can I take this lesson to help other people? On the beginning path, forcing is going outside yourself to make the external world meet your needs, but that's not what it's about. The choice of faith over fear is choosing your worth over monetary and financial pressure. I understand that people have financial pressures. I myself have dealt with them my whole life, but I do know through faith that I believe more in what I'm doing than worrying about the almighty dollar. I believe wholeheartedly that I'm here for a reason, and that as long as I do what I'm here to do, then God will take care of the rest. It is about putting service over profit. It is not that we're not allowed to make money, and there's no thing that says we have to be in poverty. But the idea, the first intent should be how to serve. Where can I help people? What gifts do I have? And how can I bring a change to this planet? It's a lot less stressful of a way of life. I trust that I'm here to do something. I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities, and I'm going to let everything else work itself out. As soon as I adopt that philosophy, the flow is better. There's more joy, contentment, more clients, things like that. The minute I used to start to nitpick it and worry and how am I going to do this, you limit your whole experience. So when we're dealing with faith over fear, and we're dealing with life purpose, and we're dealing with who we are, letting go of those expectations is our biggest key. When we can wake up in the morning and go, I'm important, and here's what I can do to make a difference, the rest comes. So often we're after physical wealth, but the true joy of the soul comes from personal contentment. When you, again, have that personal contentment, when you set out each day to make a difference, there's a way, there's a return that will come back to you. You will have your finances paid. You will be able to get that freedom of time based in a logical system, not a dream one. So it kind of breaks down like this. If you have a belief in God, then you believe that you were built a certain way. You come down, you go, okay, here's my life purpose. I'm going to, help this, and this through this skill. The returns come automatically. It becomes, would God rather us stress about paying a bill, or would God, prefer us to spend our time in inspiring 50,000 other people? Well, I'm going to go with the inspiration level. When it comes down to the ability of being able to communicate with spirit, to communicate with angels and guides like that, is the effort more doing that and opening up higher planes and higher consciousness, or is it really worrying about whether we're going to, get that check for $30? It's about perspective. So one of the things that's going to be coming forward in the new energy system is service over profit. Like I said, it sends a lot of physically based people or people-based interference into overdrive. But what are you really fearing? So often, again, people stay in their jobs for their paycheck, but how miserable are they? How unhappy are they? Yeah, they might have stuff, but there's no joy in them. Every day they go to work, it's a struggle. That's the forced part. When you truly kind of fall into yourself and you're comfortable in what you're trying to do, you have a pretty clear image of, okay, this is how I want to make a change. All energy just goes to that. It goes to self-development. It goes to self-healing. It goes to working with your children to give them those power. It's not about running the pavement and coming out with massive websites and, marketing and pictures of yourself. It's the essence of the spiritual path is that you believe without a doubt in your mind and your heart so that your soul understands that there's more reason that you're here, that you will sacrifice whatever you need to be that light for other people. And it will always result in returns, because that's the way the system fuels. Those that help others will get the return because they help others. Those that are self-directed, those that are really worried about themselves or everybody else, you're going to see a big shift. You're going to see a power shift coming in the next probably 5 to 10 years, where those that are based in service have the best companies, the biggest companies, the sustainable companies. And those that have done it over profit and greed will fall away. Money will still be, we will still have wealthy and we will still have poverty, but it will start to find a middle ground. The new business dynamics that we'll be talking about more in April are based on that as well. So it's not that people can't make money, it's just under a new kind of philosophy that if you're making 200 million, then your employee should make more than $10. Kind of dispersing our money a little bit better. Right now, 2% of our population has all of the wealth. We're not looking to take it away. We're looking again to disperse it, to bring it down through everybody, to allow everyone a chance to find a comfortable level, allowing through corporations and companies a better way of running it, a spiritual basis that you are important and I am important. So whether you're a secretary or whether you're the CEO, in spirituality, you're both the same level of importance. It's not about what you can do, it's about who you are. If you're trying to increase your career, it's not about stepping on people. It's about know your own worth. Walk into each job that you have and with the total empowerment that I'm here for a reason and I'm confident in what I can do. I know that I can do this, and go with the flow. Confidence is another issue I hear a lot about, because most people believe that, or they'll say, once I get the confidence, I'll do something. The irony is, until you do it, you're not going to have the confidence. So we want to set out on this faith versus fear of having the faith to try. Just go for it. See what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what if it does? So a lot of times I work with people changing their career, getting them to what their heart and soul want to do over what they've been told they should do or financially have to do. Have-tos are very scary for me because they're not real. When you're doing kind of a job change or career change, once you can accept that your soul wants to do something else, the path will open for you. So we want to start out each and every day wanting to go to our jobs, wanting to do our careers. When we have kids especially, we want to set a precedent that I wake up joyful in what I'm doing and how I'm serving, and that's all that's mattered. All these parents that are doing jobs because they have to do the job so that they can go on a trip or they can buy this or their kid needs this type of thing, it's not working. It's not working for the children, because as we see, our children, particularly in North America, are extremely unhappy. They're dealing with mass amounts of depression. Mental illness would not even be hitting children. Our social anxieties are up tenfold. Bullying is completely out of control, which we'll talk about on another call. Things like that are not working. Our children are being drugged at an exponential rate. They are panicking. They are afraid because of the negative influences around them, because there's no contentment in our world, because they're seeing these parents drive themselves to work, coming home miserable, drained, fed up, tired. The children are picking up on that. We don't want that. We want to feel good when we get home. We want to show our children, you know what, you can do anything you want. Let me help you get there. Teaching our children to go into who they really are gives them that guidance. So if your philosophy is that you're going to stay in a job because it makes money for the sake of your family, spirituality allows you to investigate that at a higher level. It allows you to understand that maybe it's not best for your family. Maybe working less, but being home and being happy and content and sharing that love with your children is really what they need. So again, we're not looking to change who we are through spirituality. We're looking for a better understanding. As you start the spiritual path, there's a lot of pitfalls. You're going to stumble and fall along the way. The entire goal, get up and keep going. Get up and keep moving. If at first you don't succeed, you just keep at it. Meditation, I have a CD on my website for those that are interested, is a basic how to start to meditate, how to work within yourself. It's not about blanking out the mind. It's actually about setting processes to get to know yourself. Will it work the first time? Probably not, but it will the 5th or the 6th or the 7th. The mind and the soul and the heart have been designed to work together. You have to account for maybe how many years you've ignored them. So if you're starting this at 50, you have 50 years you have to let go first. It could take a week, it could take 10 years. That at 10, again, is up to you and how well you're able to flex within it. So I always see people go, I get frustrated after 3 times. Like I said, it took me 17 years to be able to do the amount of skill level that I have. but I worked at it each and every day. People say to me, do I need to meditate every day? You don't need to do anything. If you want to have contentment, if you want to have self-empowerment, if you want to know who you are, if you want to have flow, then yes, you do. Spirituality is, again, it's not a school system. It's not a have to and a judgment based. The stronger you want to get, the more work you're going to do. The more you want to know yourself, the more time you're going to spend with yourself. If you want positive relationships, then you're going to need to let go of the negative relationships. If you want a better career, then you need to figure out what your soul career is, because it opens up the truth. So I'm hoping this kind of gives a little bit of a basic of understanding. And when we're dealing with this force issue, we want to, again, go within. When the soul clicks and the heart and the mind go within each other, there's no more force. It's not about making things happen. It's about allowing things to happen. Our job as humans is to do our part, and it is to do the steps that we can do on this plane, and having faith that the higher levels will guide us through. It's about creating your own independent energy system and sitting in that morning and just kind of meditating and closing your eyes and saying, I am ready. Who can I help? Who will benefit from what I have to offer this world? And pulling clients in that way, pulling in customers that way, working within them to raise their awareness, whether it's through art, business, product, it doesn't matter. Again, the undefined aspect is what we're looking for is that the flow is there. When we know who we are, when we function from who we are, everything else just works out. It can be difficult to see it in the beginning, but again, the more that you work on it, the more that you allow yourself to connect, release the expectations. It isn't something that you have to do, it's something that responds naturally. So as we start to leave this, next week we'll be talking more about the specific elements of how to, activate your spiritual body. I want you to leave this in mind. Two things. One, faith over fear. Begin your path today of having faith in yourself and faith in a higher level. Let go of the fears that you have. Be aware of them and simply get ready to release them. And the second thing is the time and patience within yourself. Begin today to understand that you were born perfect, and that anything against yourself, any self-judgment has been put in by somebody else, and set forth that path today that you were born perfect, and it's just about going back to who we are. Thank you.